The piano keys were still warm from my practice when I heard Dad's footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, deliberate, each one a warning that made my fingers instinctively curl. It was 5 a.m. on the morning of the Bernstein Youth Piano Competition, the one that came with a full scholarship to Juilliard if he won. I'd been practicing since 3 a.m., using the soft pedal so I wouldn't wake them. But Dad had superhuman hearing when it came to finding reasons to hurt me. "What did I tell you about playing before sunrise?" His voice filled the small music room in our basement, the one that used to be a storage closet before I cleaned it out myself. "My name is Aria." Ironic, I know, and I've been playing piano since I was 4. Not because my parents wanted me to, but because my elementary school music teacher, Mrs. Kobayashi, saw something in me and taught me for free after school. She'd even given me her old keyboard when she upgraded. That keyboard had been my lifeline for 13 years. "The competition is at noon," I said quietly, my hands still positioned over the keys. "I need to warm up." "You need to learn respect," Dad corrected, moving closer. I could smell the whiskey from last night still on his breath. "Playing that thing while decent people sleep, thinking you're special." Mom appeared in the doorway, her silk robe tied loosely, hair perfect even at dawn. She was always perfect on the outside. Is she pretending to be talented again? "The audition is today," I reminded them, though they knew. They'd been mocking me about it for weeks, calling it Aria's little delusion, and taking bets on how badly I'd fail. "The Juilliard Scholarship Competition," Dad said slowly, like he was tasting something sour. "You really think they'd want someone like you?" I didn't answer. I learned that answers were just ammunition. "Stand up," he commanded. I stood, but my hand brushed against the stack of sheet music on the piano bench. Chopin's Ballade No. 1, the piece I'd be performing in 7 hours. He grabbed the pages, looking at the complex notation with disgust. "This?" He laughed, the sound sharp and ugly. "You think you can play this?" "I've been practicing for 8 months." He tore the sheets in half, then quarters, then kept tearing until Chopin was confetti on the floor. "That's what I think of your practicing." Mom giggled from the doorway. She probably couldn't play it anyway. Her teacher just feels sorry for her. But I wasn't watching the destroyed music. I was watching the small red light in the corner of the room, the one they'd never noticed. 2 months ago, after Dad had smashed my keyboard and I had to borrow the schools to practice, I'd installed a security camera. It was disguised as part of an old speaker, constantly recording, uploading everything to the cloud. "Let's go upstairs," Dad said suddenly. "I want to show you something." The way he said it made my blood cold, but I followed because not following was worse. In the kitchen, morning light was just starting to creep through the windows. Dad walked to the back door, the heavy wooden one that led to the garage. He opened it wide. "Come here," he said. I approached slowly, every instinct screaming danger. "Put your hands on the doorframe," he instructed. "Spread your fingers wide." "Dad, please." "Do it." I placed my hands on the frame, fingers spread, knowing what was coming but unable to stop it. He threatened this before, usually when drunk, talking about how pianists were all soft and weak, how they needed their precious fingers intact. "You know what?" he said, gripping the door. "Musicians don't need straight fingers. They need humility." He slammed the door. The sound my fingers made, a wet crunch like stepping on autumn leaves after rain, was drowned out by my scream. All 10 fingers caught in the door's brutal bite. I felt bones snap, joints compress, tendons tear. The pain was so absolute it went beyond feeling into something else, a white-hot nothing that consumed everything. He held the door closed for 3 seconds. 3 eternal seconds where I could feel my fingers breaking, crushing, dying. When he finally released it, I collapsed to my knees, holding my destroyed hands against my chest. They were already swelling, turning purple and black, fingers bent at angles that fingers shouldn't bend. "Broken hands match your broken future." Dad laughed, actually laughed, like he told the world's best joke. Mom stepped closer, examining my hands with the critical eye she usually reserved for judging other women's appearances. "Finally, something about you is twisted correctly." I couldn't speak. The pain was too absolute. But through the tears, I saw something Dad didn't. The kitchen security camera. We had it installed years ago after a break-in. He'd forgotten about it, but it was still there, still recording, its lens capturing everything. "Clean yourself up," Dad said, already bored. and cancel your little competition. Tell them you're sick. They left me there on the kitchen floor, cradling my ruined hands. Each heartbeat sent new waves of agony through my fingers. I couldn't move them, couldn't feel anything but pain. But I didn't call to cancel. Instead, I called Mrs. Kobayashi. Area? Her voice was immediately concerned. It's so early. I need help, I whispered. Please, bring your car. And call Dr. Martinez. Dr. Martinez was her husband, an emergency room physician who'd always been suspicious of my various accidents over the years. They arrived in 15 minutes. Mom and Dad had gone back to bed, confident they'd destroyed my future. Mrs. Kobayashi used the spare key I told her about, finding me still on the kitchen floor. Oh my God, Dr. Martinez breathed when he saw my hands. We need to get you to the hospital immediately. The competition, I managed to say. Forget the competition. No, I looked him in the eyes. We go to the hospital, get my fingers splinted, and I play. Area, your fingers are broken. I know, but I'm playing. Mrs. Kobayashi looked at her husband, and something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or recognition of the kind of determination that comes from having everything taken from you. At the hospital, X-rays confirmed what I already knew. 7 of my 10 fingers were fractured. My right pinky was dislocated. My left thumb was cracked. The resident on duty wanted to cast both hands immediately. I need them splinted, I said. Individually. I have to play piano in 4 hours. That's impossible, the resident said. The pain alone. I've been living with pain for 17 years, I told him. Please, just splint them so I can move them a little. Dr. Martinez pulled the resident aside. They had a quiet, intense conversation. When they came back, the resident looked troubled but agreed. They splinted each finger carefully, leaving just enough flexibility for limited movement. Then they gave me the maximum dose of painkillers that would still leave me coherent. It barely touched the agony, but it took the edge off enough that I could think. We need to call the police, Dr. Martinez said. This is assault. After the competition, I said, please, let me do this first. We arrived at the concert hall at 11:45. I was the last performer, scheduled for 3:00 p.m. My hands were wrapped in white bandages with metal splints visible between them. Every movement was agony, even with the painkillers. The other competitors stared. The judges noticed immediately, but there was nothing in the rules that said you couldn't compete with injured hands. I sat in the audience for the first performances, studying my competition but mostly trying to breathe through the pain. My phone buzzed with texts from Dad. Where are you? You better not be at that competition. Come home now. I turned off my phone. At 2:45, they called my name for warm-up. Backstage, Mrs. Kobayashi helped me remove the outer bandages, leaving just the splints. My fingers were swollen between the metal supports, purple and black and wrong. You don't have to do this, she said gently. Yes, I do, I replied. They tried to take music from me. They don't get to win. I walked onto the stage at exactly 3:00 p.m. The audience went silent seeing my hands. The judges leaned forward. One started to stand, perhaps to stop me, but the head judge motioned for him to sit. I sat at the piano bench, raised my destroyed hands, and began to play. Chopin's Ballade No. 1 in G minor starts gently, almost hesitant. My broken fingers found the keys through muscle memory more than sight. They were too swollen to position properly. Every note was agony. The splints clicked against the keys, adding a metallic percussion that Chopin never intended. But I played. The piece builds, becomes demanding, requires strength and delicacy in equal measure. My left pinky couldn't reach the bass notes properly, so I compensated with my thumb. My right hand's runs were clumsy, broken fingers refusing to flow across the keys. But I played. Blood started seeping through the bandages during the development section. The intense passages had reopened wounds. Red droplets spotted the white keys, but I didn't stop. The pain had transcended into something else. Fuel, maybe, or freedom. The coda of the ballade is fierce, demanding everything from the pianist. I gave it everything, broken fingers hammering out Chopin's passion, my blood literally on the keys. The final chord, a G minor blast that should be triumphant, came out broken, like me. But it came out. The silence after was complete. Then someone started clapping, slowly, then another. Then the entire audience was on their feet, many crying. The judges weren't even pretending to deliberate. But I wasn't done. I pulled the microphone from its stand with my least damaged finger. "My father broke my fingers this morning," I said, my voice carrying through the stunned hall. "He slammed them in a door because he didn't want me to compete." My mother laughed and said finally something about me was twisted correctly. Gasps rippled through the audience. "I have security footage of the assault," I continued, "and years of documented abuse. I played through broken fingers today not to win a scholarship, but to prove that they couldn't break what matters: my spirit, my music, my future." I looked directly at the head judge. "I withdraw from the competition. Someone here deserves to win on their talent, not their tragedy. But I needed to play. I needed to prove that even broken, I'm still a musician." The head judge stood up. "We cannot accept your withdrawal," he said into his own microphone, "because what we just witnessed transcends competition. You've already won something greater than any scholarship." Security had already called the police. Audience members had started dialing 911 the moment I mentioned the assault. By the time I walked off stage, officers were waiting to take my statement. Mrs. Kobayashi drove me back to the hospital, where they properly casted my hands after photographing all the injuries for evidence. The security footage from our kitchen was retrieved that evening. Clear as day, Dad positioning my hands, slamming the door, holding it closed. Mom laughing, both of them leaving me collapsed in agony. They were arrested that night. The story exploded. Teen plays Chopin with broken fingers after parents' assault made international headlines. The video of my performance went viral, millions of views in days. Professional pianists posted reactions, many in tears. The bloody keys became an image that haunted people. But more importantly, the security footage was released during the trial. The world saw what they did. Saw Dad's deliberate cruelty, Mom's delighted reaction, their complete lack of humanity. The trial was swift. Attempted murder, aggravated assault, child abuse, torture. Dad got 30 years, Mom got 25. Neither showed remorse, even when the prosecutor played the recording of my performance, showing the blood, the swollen fingers, the absolute destruction they'd caused. "She was always dramatic," Mom said during her testimony. "This is just another performance." The prosecutor's response was legendary. "Ma'am, your daughter played Chopin with 7 broken fingers. That's not drama. That's heroism you'll never understand." Juilliard offered me a full scholarship anyway. Delayed admission until my hands healed. 6 surgeries, 8 months of physical therapy, and slowly, my fingers remember how to be fingers again. They're not the same. They'll never be the same. Some movements are gone forever. Certain stretches impossible now. But I adapted. Found new fingerings, new ways to create the music that lives in my soul. I graduated from Juilliard last month. My senior recital was Chopin's Complete Ballades. When I played No. 1, I used my new fingerings, my adapted technique. It sounded different than it would have with unbroken hands, but maybe more honest, more mine. Mrs. Kobayashi was in the front row, crying. Dr. Martinez, too. The family I'd built from the ruins of the one I was born into. My hands still hurt sometimes, especially in cold weather. The scars are visible, thin white lines where the surgeries put me back together. But when I play, I don't hide them. They're part of my story, part of my sound. Dad wrote me once from prison a rambling letter about how I'd ruined his life. I sent him back a CD of my Juilliard senior recital. No note, just the music he tried to silence, played on the hands he tried to destroy. The piano in my apartment is a Steinway Model B, a gift from a foundation that heard my story. On the morning of every October 15th, the anniversary of that morning, I play Chopin's Ballade No. 1 at 5:00 a.m. Not softly, not with the practice pedal. Full volume, full power, letting the music fill the space, announcing to the world that I'm still here, still playing. My neighbors never complain. One of them told me she sets her alarm to wake up and listen, that it reminds her that humans can survive anything. Musicians don't need straight fingers. They need determination, passion, and the refusal to let anyone silence their song. My fingers are crooked now, scared and reconstructed. But they make music. Beautiful, powerful, defiant music. And that's the only revenge that matters. Living, playing, soaring despite everything they did to ground me. Every concert is a victory. Every note is an act of rebellion. They tried to break my hands to break my future. Instead, they forged me into something unbreakable, something that plays Chopin with bloody fingers and wins, something that turns pain into music and music into freedom. The security camera that recorded my destruction also recorded my resurrection, the moment I chose to play anyway. That footage exists beside the assault footage in court records, proof that sometimes the human spirit is stronger than human cruelty. My hands are my history now, broken, rebuilt, beautiful in their imperfection. When young pianists ask me for advice, I tell them technique matters, practice matters, but nothing matters more than refusing to let anyone steal your music. Even if they break your fingers, even if they tear your sheet music, even if they laugh while you bleed on the keys, play anyway. Play like your life depends on it, because sometimes it does.